In my view, there is no dilemma actually here, corruption or not corruption. Obviously, we will all agree that corruption is a big issue, and I think we'll all agree that we have to deal with it. And it's important to say, leaving from there, we need to speak about specific policies that really could limit corruption. I was serving as Minister of Interior when I implemented the law for internal auditing in all ministries. Then we had, that's not enough, we had to train people as internal auditors, and that's not enough. Then we have to have a specific plan of internal audits, so we get to a specific result. And then we have to monitor what we do. So this is actually a constant struggle in that. I am also the minister who legislated the law about lobbying in our ministry. And again, there are questions of definition of what lobbying is and what is a lobbyist. So I think that this is going to be an open discussion. Other issues are always raised. I'm proud to say that during this government mandate, actually our country has risen in all international organization evaluations. Greece is one of the 26 mature democracies in the 150-something countries. I should take out this, okay. Also, I think Greece managed to gain more positions, 11 better positions in the international transparency evaluation. So there are a lot of things that have been carried out. The relation with media, the relation with the judiciary, and all that is quite important. But I must raise also one thing that, in my view, is also a great danger in the fight for corruption. And there you have to strike a very clear balance, and one has to be cautious. And that concerns not only politicians, but also, I'm a lawyer by profession. So yesterday, actually, what a coincidence, someone came to my cabinet, and he was a prominent businessman. He was dealing with defense business and had defense contracts. This man was accused. He was incarcerated for 6 months. Then he spent another 12 months in a house arrest with
tag,
the bracelet.
Yeah.
He was accused in 10 cases of fraud, and he was acquitted in all 10. This was something that started in 2014, and it ended at 2021. The guy had companies evaluated of 800 million euros at the moment of his incarceration. Of course, after his incarceration, the stock value went down. He had loans coming from the banks. The banks said that now they're not secure. They asked the loans. The guy is completely destroyed. And now, after 10 acquittals, do you know, Commissioner, how much money he's going to get for compensation from the Greek side? 1,500 euros for each month of incarceration. 9,000 euros for a complete destruction of a fortune of 800 million. And the case I'm having now is how I'm going to raise claims against the Greek states for that. So why I'm saying that? Because one has to be very cautious also on the other side. Because something that populist politicians most likely will do is throw accusations all over, and then, if you're not careful with that, then you have a complete delegitimization of the whole political class. So this really, one has to be very, very careful, and the judiciary has to be very careful on that, on the accusations. And the media, they have to be very careful on that. So there is a balance that you have to keep there. I'll give an example concerning the EPPO. So recently, we had 13 cases of members of parliament.
EVPO, what is the EVPO?
Is European Public Prosecutor's Office,
okay,
which is a relatively new European institution, and it is supposed to try and find fraud with Olaf. Olaf, we do know. So those are the two institutions that they are trying now. The EPPO has the criminal side of you, and they are trying to safeguard the, let's say, the European money and the European funding on the way that they are being used. So, okay, Greece is part of EPPO. Recently we had a case, very interesting one, in the Greek Parliament, where we have a system of immunity for our MPs. So we had to lift the immunity in order to go to prosecution because the EPPO asked for that. And what's happening after we've done that in the Parliament? In the 13 cases, with evidence coming from the EPPO, but after the demand for lifting the immunity, in most cases, it comes out that there is no damage. But the political damage has been done. The opposition has used that. So I think that there we have to be very careful on how one will use all that. And yes, we have to be very committed in dealing with corruption. We have to build the institutions that are dealing with corruption. This government is doing that. But on the other hand, one should hold accountable all those people who very easily point the finger. And then I must say the damage that's being done, it's not, well, it's the case of the businessman I told you about, but for politicians also, there's a huge danger that they are involved in long legal disputes, maybe political careers are being destroyed. And at the end of the day, we see, no political result. Even in the case of a member of parliament coming from the socialists in European Union, I remember Mrs. Kaili, a Greek European. She was incarcerated, I think, for 2 months in the Qatar issue. 4 years after, we still have no prosecution. Okay. Now, these are examples of how things could go, seriously bad, and how one must be very careful on this issue.